Hello guys, how are you? I'm Astik Ghosh from PKD Academy. As always, we'll be starting your syllabus on civics and history. Today's lecture is all about the election, the fifth chapter of class 9. What is election? Why it happens? Why we conduct it with lots of investment? That's all will be discussed in this class. So what is election? That is the first question. Election is a system where we cast our vote and we select our representative for the government, for the legislative assembly or the parliament itself. So in India, it is obviously only the adults can give vote. Up after 18 years of old, we can cast our vote and select our representative for our respective constituencies. So why it was selected? First, India is a democracy. It's a federal democracy, and a democracy can't be a democracy without elections. Elections is very important. Otherwise, it will be an autocratic system, autocratic government. That's what we don't want in our nation. So the founding fathers of India were very sure about it, that we have to give the people the right to cast their vote to select the representative for the legislative assembly or the parliament. So it was in our constitution. Under Article 326 of our Indian constitution, there is the provisions of election and different things about what is election should be and how it should be conducted, and that's all. So why it is needed, why election is needed, why we conduct it? As you know that Indian government spends a lots of money on it. There are several points about why we need elections. We will discuss it one after another. The first one is that without election there can't be a democracy. A democracy, if you want to keep a democracy in its democratic structure, you need to have some elections. People will choose their representatives, they will make laws for us, they will govern as a executive as well. That is the first reason why elections are important. Then there comes the, as you know, the most of the people don't know about the system very much, that how election happens, how the government works, how they will be represented. So that's why election is very important, because it gives us that representative structure, that I am, as a common people, as a Aam Aadmi, I can cast my vote and choose the people who will sit on the legislative assembly or the parliament itself and make laws for us. That is the second reason. As a third reason, we can say that it is an educational system as well. People got to know that how elections does works, and if they want in future, they can also elect, take part in elections. That is also a reason for it. And obviously the autocratic system, an unpopular government. Suppose that a government gets elected, or it gets the power from any power at all, it can be an autocratic system. They can implement their own policies, they can implement autocratic structure in our nation. So how we will stop it? In that case, elections stops it. They can't do anything unconstitutional, they can't do unpopular things. That's why elections are very important. So those are the primary four reasons, my friends. First, obviously, representative structure. Second, democracy needs election. Third, it's the educational purpose. And fourth, we must make sure that the country doesn't fall in anarchy or autocracy. So elections are primarily of two kinds. There are two types of election: direct election and indirect election. What is direct election? My friends, as we saw the elections, most of the common people think that the what we cast in the vote for municipalities or the legislative assembly, those are the vote, those are the main elections. But there are two kinds of election. One is direct, one is indirect. In direct election, we choose our representatives directly. Like, suppose there is a election of my legislative assembly, and there is a constituency in my town, and I will cast vote and select the local MLA for it. As in that same way, think about the central government's election. In that case also, we cast our vote and select the MPs, minister, member of parliaments, and they also, some of them got elected as executives. That is the form of direct democracy, direct election. But there is also another kind of election, that is indirect. How that happens? Think about the president. Think about the vice presidents. In that case, the people who we choose as the representative of us in the legislative assembly or in the parliament, they got the vote, they cast their vote and choose the president or the vice president. That is indirect elections. Those are the two primary kind of elections that are prevalent in Indian system, in Indian election system. Obviously, in the direct part, there are three parts, three ways. One is general election, another is midterm election, and the last one is reserved election. So what is the general election? Think about the main election when we kind of choose our presidents, our prime minister, our chief minister, the main election of legislative assembly or the parliament. Those are the general elections. When most of the people we give our vote or we cast our vote and choose our representative, they get to choose their government as well in the system that works. That is the general election. What is midterm election? Suppose in middle of the work time in 5 years, a government kind of loses its majority. As you know, that a government must have majority in the parliament or the legislative assembly respectively. So in that case, when a government loses its mandate of people, there a specific kind of elections happens. What is it? Is midterm election, when we kind of choose a government for the remainder of the time that the previous government could not complete because of their losing the majority. And what is the result? In that third case, suppose the member of the parliament or the legislative assembly dies or kind of resigns. In that case, reserved elections took place. So those are the three parts of election, three kind of election to be specific: general, midterm, and the reserved. So now we will talk about the constituency. What is constituency and how it gets created? So constituency is a demarcated area, a specific area from which the people choose their representative for the legislative assembly or the lower house of the parliament, which is the Lok Sabha. It can be a town, it can be a village, or larger than that, or a district, or a part of a district. It's just an area which is demarcated by the Election Commission of India. In that sense, constituency can be larger or smaller. Typically, for the legislative assembly, the constituency are much smaller in size. On the other hand, for the parliament, the lower house of the parliament, the constituency are far larger in scale. Obviously, because of there are only 552 people who can be elected in the lower house of the parliament. So the constituency gets larger in that scale. Obviously, there is a different kind of demarcation, specification. There are three kind of constituency in other sense. In which sense? That how many or which kind of representative they are sending to the lower house of the Lok Sabha or the legislative assembly. There is obviously the single member constituency, from which only one person gets elected and are sent to the legislative assembly or the parliament, the lower house of the parliament. There is multi-member constituency, where more than one people gets elected and are sent to the legislative assembly or the lower house of parliament. And there comes the reserved kind of constituency. So my friends, you know, before the independence, there were people who were thoroughly exploited and thoroughly discriminated. The scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe, our brothers, our sisters. And for them, we have made the system, to be specific, the founding father wanted to give them the right of their elections, of choosing their own representative. So there are some constituency which are only reserved for the people of scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe. But my friends, don't misunderstood that the only scheduled caste and scheduled tribe can cast vote in that constituency. No, all the people can, all the person in that constituency over the 18 years of age can cast their vote, but the representative should be a person of scheduled caste or scheduled tribe, as it is selected by the Election Commission of India. So now we'll talk about the Election Commission of India. This is the main governmental body which conducts election, and there is a whole system of it, whole structure of it. There is a chief election commissioner who is the president of this system, and he is the main leader of the system, and he kind of dictate the election commission. There are also two other election commissioners who work on the behalf of the chief election commissions, but don't underestimate, they all have the same kind of powers, and there is a system that they can only serve their office until they are 65 years of age. And if the government wants to sack them, they have to do it in the similar formation as prescribed in the constitution, that a Supreme Court, in a way, the Supreme Court judge gets sacked, in that same way a chief electioner should. On the other hand, the election commissioner are on the way, on the direct hand of the president. So what is the work of the election commission? There are many works that it does, and it is very important for our nation, our system of democracy. First, they create the list of the voters. Second, they choose the representatives who will participate in that election. Third, they distribute the party sign. Then they also choose the dates of the elections. They also govern that system, whole election structure, and they kind of dictates in those times of elections. In that way, election commission is very important structure of this whole system. So that is all about this class. Now I will talk about this class in Bengali. মূলত আমাদের যে ভোটের ব্যবস্থা সেটা আমি তোমাদেরকে ছোটভাবেই বলবো, কেন কি ইংলিশে আমি ওটা অলরেডি পুরোটা ডিসক্রাইব করে দিয়েছি। ভোট একটা খুব গুরুত্বপূর্ণ বিষয়, এর মাধ্যমে আমরা আমাদের রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভদের চুজ করি, যারা আমাদের হয় অ্যাজ এ এক্সিকিউটিভ অর লিগাল, দে মেক লস ফর আস, তারাই আমাদের জন্য আইন তৈরি করে, তারা দেশটাকে চালায়। এবং অবশ্যই দু ধরনের ইলেকশন হয়, ডাইরেক্ট ইনডাইরেক্ট। ডাইরেক্টের ক্ষেত্রে ভোটাররা যাকে চুজ করে সেই হয় আমাদের রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভ পার্লামেন্ট বা লেজিসলেটিভ অ্যাসেম্বলিতে। অন্যদিকে লেজিসলেটিভ অ্যাসেম্বলি এবং পার্লামেন্টারি মেম্বাররা রাষ্ট্রপতি বা উপরাষ্ট্রপতির মতো সাংবিধানিক পদগুলিকে ভোট দিয়ে যারা চুজ করে, এটাকে বলা হয় ইনডাইরেক্ট। এবার সব থেকে বড় কথা হলো কনস্টিটিউয়েন্সি কি। কনস্টিটিউয়েন্সি হলো একটা নির্দিষ্ট এলাকা, যেখান থেকে আমরা আমাদের রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভদের চুজ করি, যেই অঞ্চলের মানুষরা সেখানে কাস্ট, নিজেদের ভোট কাস্ট করে। কনস্টিটিউয়েন্সি 3 রকমের হয়, একজনের বেশি মেম্বার এবং রিজার্ভ এসটি এসসির জন্য। ইলেকশন কমিশনের ক্ষেত্রে আমরা মূলত 3 জন অফিসারকে পাই, চিফ ইলেকশন কমিশনার এবং আরো 2 জন ইলেকশন কমিশনার, যারা আমাদের এই গোটা ব্যবস্থাটাকে রাখে, এবং তাদেরকে সাহায্য করার জন্য আরো অনেক আধিকারিক থাকে। এরাই ভোটার রোলটা তৈরি করে, যে লিস্টটা থাকে ভোটারদের, আবার এরাই ভোটের দিন ঠিক করে, ভোটের চিহ্ন বিতরণ করে, এই জাতীয় কাজ তারা করে। সুতরাং এই হলো ইলেকশনের ব্যবস্থা সম্পূর্ণ। এবার এই ক্লাসটা তোমাদের অবশ্যই আমি শেষ করে দিলাম। নাও তোমাদের যদি কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন্স থাকে, ইফ ইউ হ্যাভ এনি কোয়েশ্চেন্স অ্যাবাউট দ্য ক্লাস, অ্যাবাউট দ্য টপিক্স উই হ্যাভ ডিসকাসড ইন দিস ক্লাস, comment down in the below. Please subscribe this channel, like us, and share us as much as you can. See you soon.